This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day one, or day two, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends, where we're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the Star Wars universe.
Hello, and welcome to the Holocron Histories podcast, where we talk about all things Legends versus Canon in regards to Star Wars. I am Austin, also known as Teacup.
And I am Ben of Temeria.
Yeah, all right. So, Ben, May the 4th happens in like 2 days.
Right? This month alone is the Star Wars month. So not only do we have May the 4th this week, we're going to get Kenobi at the end of the month with Star Wars celebrations.
Yes, which always comes with the announcement of new games, new shows, potential new movies.
Oh yeah, it's this one's to watch.
Yeah. So in celebration of May the 4th and May being a good Star Wars month, what do we have lined up for us?
So today is going to be a very special episode. We are going to go over Obi-Wan Kenobi's history, specifically through the Legends material. So at the end of the month, when his show comes out, we'll be able to see the differences, what they changed from what we will see in Legends today, and what Disney changed for the show.
Yeah, because they'll probably change a good deal, if I had to guess.
Oh, yes. And just doing this research alone, like, I can already tell there's going to be a lot of changes.
Yeah. So, you want to just dive right in?
Yeah. So, starting with Kenobi, we'll start in his, early history in the Legends, since we do get some of the stuff in the current canon with the Master and Apprentice book that they came out with a couple years ago. But Obi-Wan was born in 57 BBY. He was the first son of a wealthy family on the planet Stujon, and then was taken to Coruscant while he was still in infancy. So he was very much like any other youngling that is founded by the Jedi Temple, taken in basically when he's a baby, and been trained from childhood.
That's so interesting that he's taken as an infant, because in Master and Apprentice, the canon book, we learned that Obi-Wan is taken on for training late in as a child, same as Anakin was.
Oh, that's interesting. I did not know. And then why he's in training as a Jedi initiate, Kenobi is trained under Grandmaster Yoda and alongside other Jedi of his age. And what's really shocking to me when I found out about this. Due to his ability to learn very quickly, Obi-Wan actually became very arrogant and often impatient under the careful guidance of Yoda, he became more humble and reserved. So in his early years while he's training, it sounds like he was exactly like Anakin.
Yeah, just And it kind of brings to mind of, I forget exactly what the line is, but Yoda's basically complaining about Luke and is like, he's too rash and impulsive or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is. And then Obi-Wan's just like, so was I, if you recall.
And then, despite his rapid growth as a Jedi, by the time Kenobi reached the age of 12, it seemed like his chances of becoming a Jedi Knight had passed him by. So he thought he wasn't able to become a knight at this time. And the younglings who weren't selected to be Padawans by the age of 13 shifted into one of the divisions of the Jedi Service Corps. And the Jedi Service Corps were more of the Jedi who typically stay at the temple, do research, possibly stay on guard at times of certain locations in the temple, and so forth. And then one day, Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn visits the Jedi Temple to watch matches between the initiates. Kenobi dueled one of his competitors, Brooke Chun, to draw the attention of the Jedi Knights. Kenobi fought valiantly to the point of exhaustion, and in the final offensive against Chun was carried out so fiercely that Jin thought Kenobi was too dangerous and declined to train him. Then Kenobi was sent to a mining colony on Badomir to work as a plowman for the Agri Corps. So it shows that in his young age, even at the age of 12, Kenobi was very aggressive and too eager to become a knight or to go on the path of becoming a knight. And then later, while he's on this mining colony, during an altercation with Xenotors, Jin discovers Kenobi's true potential and took him as a Padawan learner. So their relationship, believe it or not, between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan starts really bad, as the pair of personalities were constantly at odds with each other. While Qui-Gon was being headstrong, Kenobi was more practical. And as time has went on, their natures blended and then them to be an effective duo. So Qui-Gon, we all know Qui-Gon from episode 1. He's very open-minded with a lot of things compared to how most of the council are. Hence why he doesn't want to be part of the council. And then Obi-Wan is the complete opposite. He's more towards what the council wants them to do and wants to see what a Jedi typically is.
It's really interesting to hear about this, and then because I've read Master and Apprentice, and it's one of the more recent Star Wars books I've read, which is saying something because that was 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. But so in Master and Apprentice, basically the whole premise sets up is that Qui-Gon is invited into the Jedi Council, but that would mean that he would have to leave Obi-Wan. And their relationship is rocky, and so a lot of the book is Qui-Gon wrestling with should he leave Obi-Wan to another trainer and go to the council, because members of the Jedi Council can't have Padawans. And it's just interesting because it's similar steps to get to where they are before episode 1, but just with slight details changed. They do go to a mining world, and they deal with all kinds of stuff there. There is talk about Obi-Wan being late picked for an apprentice and thinking that he would have to go to the Jedi Service Corps.
So in canon, it's basically they're just flipping the events around.
Yeah, they sort of. And it's more of I guess Qui-Gon is a little more it's not that he's not practical. It's that he's thinking in a way that Obi-Wan isn't. He's seen a larger picture, and Qui-Gon is attempting to be attuned and listen to a much larger view of the Force than Obi-Wan is at the moment. And it's really interesting because there's a conversation that happens in there where Obi-Wan's like, why did they put you with me? And he was like, before Obi-Wan was Qui-Gon's apprentice, Obi-Wan was a rule breaker. He wanted to push the limits. He wanted to rebel and do all of that. And then they put him with Qui-Gon, who is also like that. And Obi-Wan kind of swings the pendulum the other way and becomes this staunch rule follower of what the Jedi are supposed to do. And Qui-Gon very much pushes against that, and that creates a lot of tension in their relationship. But similar to the Legend story, they finally have points where they work together and they gain a new respect for one another. And as we know, Qui-Gon doesn't join the Jedi Council, and he remains Obi-Wan's master.
Yep. So after all the events of the mining facility, we get to 32 BBY. So 25-year-old Kenobi and his master Qui-Gon are headed to the planet Naboo on a Radiant 7 cruiser on a mission to resolve the trade dispute. So this is where we get to the events of Episode 1, which if you've seen the film, you know what happens. Throughout the film, they meet Anakin. Qui-Gon wants to train Anakin as a Jedi because he believes the chosen one. Towards the end of the film, Qui-Gon passes from Darth Maul, and then Obi-Wan becoming a knight at the end of the film, and then taking Anakin as a student. So that's all. I mean, when it comes to the movies, it stays the same with Legends and canon, regardless. But then this is what really caught my eye. During Skywalker's first year at the temple, he met this Tusken Jedi apprentice, Ashard Hit, as the masked Padawan attempted to meditate on a balcony in the cool night air. The Tusken master, Canarian Ki Adimundi, comes out to scold Het because of the late hour, and his new Padawan needed a rest from a mission that they have to do the next day. So you see this, and then Anakin met them, and they tried to strike up a friendship, but something that both he and Obi-Wan knew that it was going to be difficult to do because Anakin's from Tatooine. He's not going to get along with a Tusken whatsoever.
That's so interesting because I think that's the only reference to a Tusken Raider being a Jedi.
Correct. I believe so. I don't think there's, not to my knowledge at least, I don't think there is any. I mean, there might have been a one maybe through the Old Republic era somewhere.
Maybe. But
in the lore of that. But yeah, it's interesting knowing there's a Tusken Jedi before the Clone Wars.
I mean, I know that not everyone loves the idea of the midichlorians. But if they do exist in all living things, then that means that any species that is living has the ability to be force sensitive.
Yes. Yeah.
Or the potential to do so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Tuskens are one. I mean, we see in if you play the older KOTOR games, there are like some of the leaders of I believe in KOTOR 1, one of the leaders of the Tusken groups that you meet in KOTOR 1 is actually a force sensitive. And then you do find out in Legends, I think it's on one of the books, the comics, but there are also Jawas that are force sensitive as well. And they could potentially become force wielders.
Do you know where that interaction happens? Did they give a book or anything?
Oh shoot, I don't have it written down anywhere. I believe it's in one of the older books. I would have to look that up. Give me 1 second. I can actually look at that.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious. I'd be curious to read that to see if like Anakin can humanize the Tusken Raider, or if like he is still stuck in like how he was raised on Tatooine and the inability to humanize this being in front of him, which would be an interesting dynamic given his choice that's going to be coming up in a couple bullet points.
Yeah, I think, knowing Anakin, and this is just me speculating, I feel like that'd be something he won't really be able to humanize them because of his experience on Tatooine and how Tuskens are more of a menace to anybody who lives on Tatooine, honestly.
And vice versa. I would say that the settlers of Tatooine are also a menace to the Tusken Raiders. But yeah, there's just a lot of conflict there.
It is the comics.
All right.
Emissaries of Malastare from 1998.
Yep.
Is where we get that reference from. But yeah, then we get into, after all that, we get into the Clone Wars, which, from episode 2, this is also, could put the Clone Wars TV shows into this too, because the show was running before Disney bought Lucasfilm. So the Clone Wars show is actually canon and Legends, just like the movies are. So you get that. So a lot of things happen with Obi-Wan through that. Mainly, teaching Anakin, and then get to the Clone Wars animated show where Obi-Wan then takes more of a back seat because Anakin becomes a knight. He's not. Obi-Wan does his own thing with his own clone platoon with Commander Cody. Anakin does his own thing with Rex, and then eventually gets Ahsoka as his own Padawan, and vice versa. And then we get to episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. With that film, Obi-Wan and Anakin do their own thing. Towards the end of the film, Anakin falls to the dark side. Obi-Wan has to take down his old friend and apprentice. But, at the end of the film, that doesn't happen. Not to what Obi-Wan thought, anyway. And then, let's see here. And then we get to the Imperial era. So this is when the Empire, when the Republic eventually now becomes the Galactic Empire. Kenobi is forced into hiding. He actually took Grievous's starfighter to Nar Shaddaa, sold the ship, and booked a passage to the desert world to Tatooine alongside his young passenger and baby Luke Skywalker.
Okay, I gotta pause here real quick.
Okay.
Because just the idea of infant Luke on Nar Shaddaa, of all places.
Right.
And those of you who might not know, Nar Shaddaa is like a crime hub of the galaxy. It would be a great place to travel unnoticed. And you go there as in the second Old Republic or the Knights of the Old Republic 2 game. And it's even marked there that this is a great place for someone to hide, especially from someone who's force sensitive, because there's so much life to blend into. But it's just ironic that one of Luke's first planet experiences as a child would have been Nar Shaddaa. Right.
Even though, he won't remember it and everything. But yeah, just having Obi-Wan taking the risk of taking him to Nar Shaddaa. Yeah. Though granted, it is Obi-Wan, so, he can fight off basically anything that comes their way. But yeah, it's an interesting planet.
It's a big risk, but I guess so is Tatooine, because both are controlled by the Hutts.
Correct. That's true. Yeah, and then Obi-Wan, exiled himself to Tatooine. He did spoke to his departed master Qui-Gon through the Force, and a technique passed down to him by Yoda. So this is where, when he's self-exiled himself, he does take on the training to become a Force ghost. And then he changed his name to Ben, so the locals on Tatooine don't know who he is. Yeah, he actually changed his name to Ben because he saw a map of the property off of Bastine and admitted that there was some Mesa by that name.
That's funny.
So this is where he, goes to hiding. Nobody knows who he is. Does his own thing.
So before we get into kind of we're at the point of where the show is going to pick up. So before we get into that, I think we should take our break.
Yeah, let's go right ahead and do that.
All right.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Hey guys, today I'm interviewing my cat about his perfect bistro food. Percy, you seem to be a big Perfect Bistro fan. Care to comment? Totally. What do you like about it? You love the high quality ingredients? And the delicious flavors, of course. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Listen to Percy, guys. Visit perfectbistro.com to try it for your cat.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel, maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Okay, welcome to the middle of the show where we talk about all things that does not have to do with the legends versus canon lore of Star Wars. I want to take this time to let you know that if you want to support the show, there are two great ways to do that right now, which is one, just tell your friends about us. If you have friends who love Star Wars, who are curious about the lore and how it's different between legends and canon, just tell them to come check out our podcast. The other way to do that is to leave us a review or rate us on Spotify. If you leave us a 5-star review with some words, we will read it on a future episode of the show. You don't have to have it or listen to our podcast on Spotify or Apple, but you just need an account and you can go there and you can rate us. Ben, I don't think we have a review to read today.
Nope, not this week.
All right. Well, review. You can also come and chat with us by joining the Robots Radio Discord or the Discord that runs with, if you've listened to our my other podcast with She Cup, we run a Discord server called the Cups Podcast and More, and you can come and chat there talk to us about Star Wars. Yeah. You got anything, Ben?
No, I think you covered everything pretty good.
All right. Well, let's get back into it.
All right. All right. So we last left off where, Obi-Wan exiled himself on Tatooine. So for the first few months of his self-imposed exile, Kenobi had no idea what became of Vader. So he had no idea Anakin eventually became Vader after he left his fate on Mustafar. But one day in a cantina, Kenobi finally heard that he was alive, and when news reached him of Vader's victory in the Battle of Kashyyyk, he was shocked that the remaining Jedi that they thought they could band together to defeat the Sith Lord had hoped they would have to go into hiding just like Obi-Wan and Yoda did. So during the Battle of Kashyyyk, there were some Jedi that were trying to rebel against Vader. Well, it didn't work out. And I believe the Battle of Kashyyyk, so with the legends, is I believe the same battle where Vader eventually finds Starkiller, I believe. I could be wrong on that.
Yes, that is, in fact, Starkiller's father is on Kashyyyk, and after Vader duels him, he discovers the young future Jedi and takes him as his secret assassin / apprentice.
Yes, which great games. If you've never played those games are amazing. But then we get to Kenobi does visit the Lord's homestead every day, actually, and always staying clear of Owen and Biro so they would not see him watching Luke from afar. So if you watch the new trailer of Obi-Wan, you do see this in the beginning of the trailer where Obi-Wan's like on a ridge using micro binoculars and just watching Luke, making sure nothing happens to him. And during these so-called visits, he would contemplate Anakin's death, quote unquote, though he still had the inkling that he would be fact alive, as well as wondering why his former master Jin had not yet contacted him beyond death. During one of these visits, the Lars discover that 20 of their evaporators have been stolen by the Sand People. Although Owen decides to gather a group of farmers to combat the Tuskens to win the evaporators back through a bloody war, Kenobi had other ideas. So this is where it's going to get back to where we see before all this happens. So Kenobi sets out on his own, tracks down the Tuskens, the Sand People, contemplating memories of his old apprentice before finally meeting the group of Tuskens. At first, things went well, and as he quickly found out which tent the Sand People were keeping the stolen evaporators in, and suddenly broke into the tent and located them and loaded them on a bantha without alerting the Tuskens. He was about to leave, and then was spotted by a lone Tusken Raider male. So the Raider attacked him immediately. Kenobi quickly sliced through the attacker's weapon with his lightsaber, causing the Raider to howl. And then, obviously, with that, it alerted all the other Tuskens in the camp. So, who all came out to meet him as a foe. They all attacked him. And through Kenobi found himself drawing his anger, he let go of the dark side and destruction feeling. Instead of murdering the entire clan, like Anakin did in the past, Kenobi cleverly chose to cut their clothes to reveal their skin, a taboo in the Sand People, which usually results in others to try murdering the offenders. This gives him time to escape on the bantha with evaporators and to gain the legendary reputation amongst the Sand People. So this is why, like, the Sand People don't like Kenobi or are afraid of him constantly, because he doesn't kill them. He just basically dishonors them by cutting their clothes.
It's a big power move.
Oh, yeah. That's better than, wiping out an entire clan like Anakin did in episode 2. And then on a returning to the Lars homestead, Kenobi was met with a very icy welcome. So Owen informed him that he did not need the help, that they were a family, could have handled it on their own. Kenobi left the farm, returned into solitude and contemplation. So, like, as you can tell, Owen does not like Obi-Wan whatsoever. Owen doesn't like Jedi, period. You get that in A New Hope when Luke asks about Ben. Owen does not like him whatsoever. And then, unknown to Kenobi, he was actually being hunted by Vader, who had tortured several Jedi in the order to find Kenobi's whereabouts and spared no expense to do so. This would work in Vader's disadvantage, however, when Kenobi was said to have been an infamous conclave. So,
what's the conclave?
That's where I was going to get to that. Give me 1 sec here. The conclave on Kessel. So, it was a place of meeting for Jedi survivors after Order 66 in an abandoned mine on Kessel. So, a lot of people thought Kenobi was there. Well, he wasn't. Shocker. The Jedi that Vader tortured gave them wrong info. And then over the next few months, Kenobi was actually ready to train in the Way of the Wills. Now, the Way of the Wills is the training of one to become a Force Ghost, to be one with the cosmic Force. And then roughly a year into his exile, Kenobi overheard spacers discussing events on Balessa, where Ferris Olin, a former Padawan Kenobi had thought dead, was actually on the run from Imperial forces. Qui-Gon actually convinced Kenobi to track Olin, promising him that the quest would help Kenobi's mission to protect Luke, with the spirit of Jin temporarily looking after the 1-year-old Luke. Kenobi went to Balessa And then on Balassa, he assumed that the identity of Ronhar Hanar, a businessman who charged working on a pipeline outside of the city of USA. This allowed him to access the spaceports of USA through the pipeline. And then eventually Kenobi does find Olin and helps him escape from a Rusa Inquisitor, Malarum. And then let's see here. Kenobi then is discovered, and shockingly enough, Obi-Wan and Olin are pursued by none other than Boba Fett. Oh boy. So, and then eventually they do escape from Boba to the Twin Sun systems, which is the same system as Tatooine. But it is interesting to see that we do see Boba like still being hired. This is way before, we see his hiring on Empire. So this is like what 18 years before Empire at this point. And
Long
we
time.
we see the Empire employing him still, tracking down Jedi.
Makes sense. I mean, he's probably because he doesn't have accelerated growth. So
Correct.
Boba is like, by this point, he's only a little bit. He's probably like maybe between 8 and 10 years older than Luke.
No, I mean Boba would have to be in his like 20s.
Yeah, because by the time Revenge of the Sith comes, he's like a teenager, so like 12, 13, something like that. So he's
like late 20s,
30, 35.
Mm-hmm. And then while evading Boba, Kenobi and Olin eventually find themselves on the planet of, excuse my pronunciation, Akron. I think that's how you say it. Where they actually met two former separatists now that are against the Empire. A man named Toma and a skilled pilot named Rainier Quill. With these two new companions, as well as a boy from Balassa, Trevor Flume, Kenobi and Olin escaped the Imperials. Kenobi then learned that from Toma and Garen Maloon, an old Jedi friend of his, survived Order 66 and are hiding on the frozen world of Ilum, which, if you hear from our previous episodes, Ilum is the ice planet where all Jedi find their kyber crystals. And then Olin went to rescue Maloon, while Kenobi went to Polaris Massa to make sure Luke and Leia's birth are still a secret from the Empire. There he encountered the Inquisitor Sancor, a security expert sent by Malamuram, and with the help of Polaris Masson Manelli Toon, Kenobi tried to see one of those pretending to be Osh Scale, the supply officer who had witnessed the events. Kenobi also tried to misguide Sancor, offering a more tempting target for his research. While Sancor saw an image of Scal in his files, the charade failed. Kenobi was forced to eliminate him. Sancor was accidentally killed while trying to escape from the Jedi. So it's getting very interesting to where he's having all these adventures, or having this adventure while Luke is being only a 1-year-old, while Qui-Gon somehow watching him through the Force.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've always I didn't know a lot about the legends, and in conversations with other people, we were kind of hoping that Obi-Wan wouldn't leave Tatooine because we thought in that way that he would be abandoning his duties.
Mm-hmm.
But now learning that it happened in Legends, I'm less apprehensive about it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't know, doing this research, and it's oh, he actually left quite a bit. While he's supposed to be protecting Luke, but still goes off and helps other things while he's doing that. But returning to Ilum, Kenobi does pick up Ferris, Trevor, and Garen and brought them to an asteroid that Ferris planned to make into a haven for Jedi. Olin asked Kenobi to join him, but the Jedi Master turned him down and returned to Tatooine. Kenobi had to leave the asteroid soon afterwards. He met with Olin and asked the former Padawan, to take care of Malarum. Kenobi did not tell Olin about the birth of the Skywalker twins, but specifically asked Olin to not allow Malarum to discover what happened at Polaris Massa. Kenobi correctly believed that the Sancor's death would not deter Malcolm from continuing his research. Upon Kenobi's return, Jin's spirit came to him again, this time to tell him he was ready to train in the way of the Wills. So, yeah, after all this adventuring with Olin and coming back, it gave him enough experience, I guess, to take on the training to become a Force Ghost and to become one with the cosmic force. And then on Tatooine in 17 BBY, Kenobi met Ashard Het, another Jedi who survived Order 66. Ashard was leading a Tusken Raider group near Lars moisture farm. Kenobi had noticed Het's activities in his exile and believed Het was frighteningly close to the dark side, becoming the very thing he was claiming to fight. He begged Het to stop his crusade there and then, not mentioning to Het exactly why he was choosing to defend this small farm. However, Het refused to listen. The settlers and farmers had killed countless Tuskens, and blood called out for blood. With little choice, both Jedi ignited their lightsabers and fought a brutal duel on the desert flat, with the entire Tusken army watching them. And then the duel ended with the loss of Het's right arm and the extra humiliation of having his mask removed. Het became an outcast and asked Kenobi to finish him off. However, Kenobi would still follow the Jedi Order's tenets and would never strike down an unarmed opponent. Instead, he made Het swear on the honor of his late father that he would leave Tatooine and never return, hoping that one day Het would see the error of his ways and again take up the Jedi way. Het never did, and eventually became a Darth Lord of the Sith, known as Darth Krayt, who we see a lot later down the line of the old EU.
A lot later.
This is like 130 years after Luke.
Yes.
Which is interesting, knowing that now, like, Ashard Het is now Darth Krayt, and knowing all that time passed, it's like, now I kind of want to dig into, like, how the heck did he survive that long?
Well, I'm not sure on Tusken Raiders' life expectancy.
Good point. They might have longer life expectancies then.
Right. But that's just interesting to me. I did not know that connection was with Darth Krayt.
Right.
Which is so interesting because, I mean, he basically rules the Sith for a long time.
Mm-hmm. And, like, the descendants of Luke's are having issues with him.
Yeah, like Cade Skywalker, who was like Luke's
great-great-grandson?
Yeah, something like that. Great-great-grandson, maybe great-great-great-great-grandson, fights Darth Krayt. And so that's just crazy that this person has basically probably known every single one of Cade's ancestors.
Yes. Actually, yeah, he's known Anakin. He's known possibly Luke. Yeah. That's interesting. That's cool. So then after all that, Kenobi, he eventually supposedly founded the secret lost city of the Jedi on Yavin 4. And the young Ken, just under 7-year-olds before the Battle of Yavin, certainly Kenobi knew the city's location as he would later send Luke Skywalker there, and Ken himself seemed to have a vague memory of the brown-robed Jedi Master. I want to know who Ken is. Young Ken. He was a human male, and he was known as the Jedi Prince. Actually, he was the grandson of Palpatine.
Oh.
That is interesting.
Yeah, Legends gets weird sometimes.
It does. I forgot how weird it gets.
It is sad that they threw out a lot of the EU, but it's really it gets really complicated.
It does. The storyline and just how like the timeline works was all over the place. I mean, I know a lot of people are mad that Disney killed a lot of the EU stuff, but they did that to more basically streamline this timeline and to get everything and all the things they wanted like straight. And I have all these massive, side plots or like stuff that convolute with another, because that with a lot of EU stuff did convolute within one another.
Yeah.
But then a few years later, Kenobi had found Luke and his wife, and his friend Wendy alone in the Jurlan Wastes. The two youths tried to ease their boredom by riding Wendy's pet Dewback Huey around the wastes. They had thrown in one of the canyons by dusk. Luke and Wendy still hadn't found their way out of the canyon and had been cornered in a cave by a crate dragon, which is terrifying. The dragon ate Huey and then would have devoured Luke and Wendy had Kenobi not put it in a force-induced sleep. Kenobi guided the pair back to Lair's farm. Upon arrival, Owen told Luke and his friend to go inside as they would be out of earshot, and then he confronted and berated Kenobi. Yeah, that's not good for. I mean, I don't know why Owen. I know Owen hates Obi-Wan, but for crying out loud, like, he saved your kid from getting killed by a giant dragon.
I think it comes back to, and like you have this in the point in the show notes, is that Owen believes that he needs to do what's best for Luke. And Obi-Wan and Owen have very different ideas of what's best for Luke. Obi-Wan kind of has like the Force has a purpose for Luke, and we need to bend to that. And Owen kind of takes the more side of like, he is a child. He is in our care, and I don't want him to end up like his father, is basically that.
Right.
And like, there's an interesting tidbit of like in the spoilers for the new book, Queen's Hope, but there's a passage in there that's from the perspective of Aunt Beru. And she talks about Anakin and like how Owen and her like view Anakin in like viewing the pain and anger. And so like Owen associates being a Jedi in that path as a path of suffering and destruction. And so he, for himself, is motivated by keeping Luke from that path no matter what.
Gotcha. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the only thing they knew of Anakin was his, like you said, his anger, his suffering that he's taken on when he became a Jedi, as you see in like episode 2. And then the reason for Owen's anger was that Kenobi had attempted to give Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber to Luke, fleeing that Luke was old enough and should be allowed to have it. Owen refused to allow it to, because he believed the Jedi path was a destructive one, as Austin was just saying. He told Kenobi that he didn't want Luke to make the same mistakes Anakin did, saying that he felt Anakin should have never left his mother and gotten involved with the quote-unquote damn foolish idealistic Jedi Crusaders, end quote, in the first place. He then told Kenobi to leave and to stay away. And then that's where we get to the events of A New Hope, and where we get in that film to where, Luke's a lot older. Obi-Wan still watches over Luke to that day, but with Luke being a lot older, he's his own person now.
Yeah, I think it's really going to show us, and I'm curious how the show's going to tackle this, of like a lot of what Obi-Wan does in Legends during his time on Tatooine is very much of like, he tries to help, but inadvertently like makes things worse by getting involved. because
Correct.
he either attracts the attention of the Empire or causes things to escalate to where they don't need to go and just causes more grief. So it'll be interesting to me how the show kind of deals with that. And like, if the trailer kind of paints like, okay, the Inquisitors are on Tatooine and they're looking for this Jedi, and we see Owen there.
Yep.
And so it'll be interesting how that plays out.
Yeah, I feel like we'll probably see something of that sort, to where Obi-Wan thinks he's trying to help, but then, makes things worse, and possibly bringing, I mean, this is all speculation, so the show comes out, but possibly bringing the Inquisitors to Tatooine because he thought he was helping. And then, he'll probably have to leave, try to fight, try to bring the Inquisitors somewhere else to get back, or who knows, it might be some off-world adventure he does, just like he does with Olin. I mean, who knows what we'll see.
Right. And it'll just be curious to see. I think that the show will probably change a lot of details. But I think they'll probably, as like the spirit of the story, I feel like is going to feel the same to what we got in Legends.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's probably more likely is going to happen. It's just, what are the what events are they changing?
Yeah, exactly.
Or what's the new, what is he getting himself into that it supposedly makes things worse?
Right. The big change that I think that we're going to make, which I am kind of on the fence about, is I think they might have a Anakin as Vader Obi-Wan meetup.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I think they already confirmed that. It's already been reported that eventually they will have like a meetup and possible fight. Right,
which is just, I kind of go back and forth. I'm like, yeah, that'll be cool. It doesn't really break canon for me because all Vader says is the last time we saw each other.
Exactly. He doesn't specify when.
Right, but I think that it's really climactic when you think of like, oh, they saw each other like 20 years ago when this man cut off all my limbs.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, with even if they do have a fight in this one, it's only Luke is 5 or 6, so there's still like over a decade by the next time he meets him in A New Hope. I mean, and then who knows? We might not even see a fight. They might just like, meet each other through like a hologram or something like that, for all we know. But we do know they will be flashbacks, which is honestly what I'm really pumped to see, between Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Right.
So I want to see them in Clone Wars armor. That's going to be awesome if they do that.
Yeah, it will be awesome. All right. You got any other thoughts about Obi-Wan?
No, I think that's really it for this week's episode.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening.
And may the Force be with you. Thank you for listening to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWHoloHistories and contact us at holocronhistories@gmail.com.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.